What makes a great villain? Is it the chilling laugh, the twisted motives, or maybe it's that moment when you realize they're not just evil, they're unforgettable? Some movie villains don't just scare us in the theater, they follow us home. They creep into our thoughts late at night. They make us double-check the locks on our doors. Today, we're counting down the top 10 movie villains that will absolutely haunt your nightmares. These aren't just bad guys. These are the characters that redefined what it means to be truly terrifying. So dim the lights, because we're diving into the darkest corners of cinema. Let's get started. Kicking off our list is a villain who doesn't need a weapon or a mask to terrify you. Nurse Ratched, played brilliantly by Louise Fletcher, proves that sometimes the most frightening evil comes wrapped in a calm, controlled exterior. She rules her psychiatric ward with an iron fist disguised as compassionate care. What makes her so unsettling is her method. She doesn't physically harm her patients. Instead, she manipulates, humiliates, and psychologically destroys them, all while maintaining that serene smile. Her cold, bureaucratic cruelty feels disturbingly real because we've all encountered someone who uses their authority to belittle others. She represents institutional oppression at its most insidious. The way she systematically breaks down McMurphy's spirit is genuinely horrifying to watch. Here's a chilling fact. Louise Fletcher actually stayed in character between takes, keeping her distance from the other actors to maintain that sense of cold detachment. The cast genuinely felt uncomfortable around her, which made their performances all the more authentic. Nurse Ratched reminds us that you don't need fangs to be a monster. Sometimes, all you need is power and the willingness to abuse it. Moving on to number 9, we have Alex DeLarge from Stanley Kubrick's disturbing masterpiece, A Clockwork Orange. Played with unsettling charisma by Malcolm McDowell, Alex is a teenage sociopath who leads his gang on nights of ultraviolence. What makes Alex so nightmare-inducing is his joy. He doesn't commit horrific acts out of rage or revenge. He does it because he genuinely enjoys it, often while singing cheerfully. His love of Beethoven paired with his capacity for brutal violence creates a jarring contrast that's impossible to forget. He's intelligent, articulate, and completely without remorse. The most disturbing part? The film occasionally makes you forget just how monstrous he is, drawing you into his perspective before shocking you back to reality. Here's something many people don't know. The famous scene where Alex sings. Singing in the rain wasn't in the original script. McDowell improvised it on set because Kubrick wanted him to do something during the scene, and it became one of cinema's most iconic and disturbing moments. Alex DeLarge forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about free will, morality, and the nature of evil itself. At number 8, we have Captain Vidal from Guillermo del Toro's dark fantasy masterpiece, Pan's Labyrinth. Played with terrifying intensity by Sergi Lopez, Vidal is a fascist officer in post-Civil War Spain whose cruelty knows no bounds. He's obsessed with his legacy, his father's watch, and maintaining order through absolute brutality. What makes Vidal particularly nightmarish is his casual relationship with violence. The bottle scene, if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's sudden, shocking, and establishes immediately that this man is capable of anything. He shows no hesitation, no remorse, just cold, calculated brutality. His treatment of the innocent, especially in a film that also features a young girl's fairy tale journey, creates a stark and horrifying contrast. Sergi Lopez has said that playing Vidal was psychologically exhausting, and that he had to find the character's humanity to portray him. Even though that humanity is buried deep beneath layers of fascist ideology and violence, Captain Vidal represents real-world evil, the kind that existed and unfortunately still exists. That's what makes him so terrifying. He's not a fantasy monster. He's a reminder of human capacity for cruelty. Continuing with real-world horror, at number 7 we have Amon from Schindler's List. Ralph Fiennes delivers a bone-chilling performance as this SS officer who ran the Krakoplazo concentration camp. Göth isn't just evil, he's incomprehensibly sadistic, shooting prisoners from his balcony for sport while drinking his morning coffee. What haunts you about Göth is knowing he was a real person who committed these actual atrocities. Fiennes captures both his brutality and his pathetic humanity, his strained relationship with his maid Helen, and his own son. The scene where he stands behind Helen with a gun, trying to decide whether to kill her or kiss her, is absolutely gut-wrenching. Here's a powerful detail. When Fiennes walked onto set in his SS uniform for the first time, several Holocaust survivors who were serving as extras broke down in tears. One woman trembled and told him that he looked exactly like the real Göth Fiennes. Later said, playing this role was one of the most disturbing experiences of his career, but he felt a responsibility to portray the truth of such evil. Amon Göth forces us to remember the darkest chapter of human history and ensures we never forget what happens when hatred goes unchecked. Flipping that coin at number 6, we have Anton Chigurh, from No Country for Old Men. Javier Bardem won an Oscar for this role, and it's easy to see why. With his unsettling bowl haircut and his captive bolt pistol, Chigurh is a relentless force of nature disguised as a hitman. He operates by his own twisted code, often leaving people's fates up to a coin toss. What makes Chigurh so terrifying is his almost supernatural persistence and his complete lack of conventional emotion. He's not angry, he's not excited, he simply is, like death itself. The gas station scene where he makes the clerk call a coin toss for his life is masterfully tense. You feel the clerk's terror as he realizes he's in the presence of something fundamentally wrong. The Coen brothers deliberately kept Chigurh's backstory mysterious. We never learn where he comes from or what made him this way, which makes him feel more like a mythological figure than a man. Bardem has said he based some of Chigurh's mannerisms on predatory animals, and it shows. He moves through the film like a shark, efficient, remorseless, and unstoppable. Anton Chigurh embodies the concept that sometimes evil doesn't have a reason. Sometimes it just exists, and it's coming for you. At number 5, we have the sophisticated cannibal himself, Hannibal Lecter from The Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins' portrayal is legendary, and for good reason. Despite being on screen for only about 16 minutes, Lecter dominates every scene he's in. He's brilliant, cultured, and utterly terrifying. He can psychoanalyze you with a glance and destroy you with a few carefully chosen words. What makes Hannibal so nightmare-inducing is his intelligence. He's always 3 steps ahead, manipulating everyone around him like chess pieces. The famous quid pro quo scenes between Hannibal and Clarice are electric with tension. You're drawn to his charm and intellect while simultaneously repelled by what he is. He's a predator who sees most people as prey or instruments to be used. And we can't forget his escape scene. Brutal, shocking, and executed with classical music playing in the background. It's cinematic perfection and absolutely horrifying. Here's an interesting fact. Anthony Hopkins based some of Hannibal's voice on a combination of HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey, and Truman Capote. He wanted Lecter to sound intelligent but slightly inhuman. The result is unforgettable. Hopkins himself has said he's never played another character that disturbed him quite like Hannibal Lecter. When even the actor is unnerved by the character, you know you're dealing with something special. Dancing into number 4, we have Pennywise, the dancing clown from It. Now, we're talking about both Tim Curry's iconic 1990 portrayal and Bill Skarsgård's terrifying modern interpretation. This shape-shifting entity that feeds on fear, particularly the fear of children, has traumatized audiences for decades. What makes Pennywise so effective is that he exploits our deepest, most primal fears. He doesn't have one form. He becomes whatever terrifies you most. But it's his clown form that's become legendary because it perverts something associated with childhood joy and turns it into pure nightmare fuel. That smile, those teeth, that unsettling way he moves, it all combines to create something genuinely disturbing. Tim Curry's version introduced a generation to the terror of Pennywise, with that raspy voice and manic energy. Bill Skarsgård took it to another level with those asymmetrical eyes and that bone-chilling smile that seems to split his face. Both actors committed fully to making this creature feel ancient, alien, and utterly malevolent. Here's a creepy behind-the-scenes tidbit. Bill Skarsgård can actually move his eyes independently, which he used to make Pennywise even more unsettling. He's also said that getting out of character at the end of filming was genuinely difficult because he'd been in such a dark headspace. Pennywise represents every childhood fear manifested, and that's why he continues to haunt us long after the credits roll. Coming in at number 3, we have the Joker from The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger's performance is nothing short of legendary, and tragically, it was one of his last. This version of the Joker isn't a gangster with a gimmick. He's an agent of chaos who wants to watch the world burn just to prove a point. He has no origin story we can trust, no clear motivation beyond spreading anarchy. What makes this Joker so terrifying is his unpredictability and his philosophy. He forces people to confront the darkness within themselves. The ferry boat scene, where he puts explosives on two boats and gives each the detonator for the other, is psychological. Torture elevated to art. He doesn't just want to kill people. He wants to corrupt them, to prove that everyone will abandon their morals when pushed hard enough. Ledger's physical commitment to the role is remarkable. The nervous tick of licking his lips, the hunched posture, the way he inhabits every scene with manic energy. It's performances like this that remind us why cinema is such a powerful medium. And here's something that makes this even more haunting. Ledger isolated himself for weeks to prepare for the role, keeping a diary in character. The intensity he brought to Joker came from a deeply committed, and some say troubling place. He posthumously won the Oscar for this role, and it remains one of cinema's greatest villain performances. This Joker showed us that sometimes the scariest villain is the one who has nothing to lose and no rules to follow. Breathing heavily into number 2, we have Darth Vader from the Star Wars saga. The Dark Lord of the Sith, the fallen Jedi, the man behind the mask who became one of cinema's most iconic villains. When Vader first appeared in 1977, audiences had never seen anything quite like him. That black armor, that mechanical breathing, that deep voice provided by James Earl Jones, it all combined to create an instantly legendary character. What makes Vader nightmare-inducing isn't just his power or his ruthlessness, it's the tragedy beneath the mask. He was once Anakin Skywalker, a hero who fell to darkness. That transformation makes him more terrifying because it suggests that anyone, even the chosen one, can become a monster. His willingness to torture his own children to serve the Empire shows just how far he's fallen. The scene where he lifts a rebel soldier off the ground with the Force and interrogates him. The moment he tells Luke he is his father. Or that hallway scene in Rogue One where he cuts through rebels like they're nothing. These are the moments that cement Vader as truly terrifying. Here's a fascinating detail. David Prowse wore the costume, but James Earl Jones provided the voice. George Lucas felt Prowse's British accent wasn't threatening enough. Jones initially thought his role was so small he didn't want to be credited. Now, that voice is inseparable from the character. Darth Vader represents fallen grace, ultimate power, and the seductive nature of the dark side. He's haunted generations and will continue to do so. And finally, claiming the number 1 spot is Annie Wilkes from Misery. Kathy Bates delivers an Oscar-winning performance as the number 1 fan from hell. Annie Wilkes is a former nurse who rescues romance novelist Paul Sheldon from a car crash, only to hold him captive when she learns he's killed off her favorite character. What makes Annie the most terrifying villain on this list is her relatability. She's not a supernatural entity or a serial killer who eats people. She's a deeply disturbed woman whose obsession spirals into violence. The hobbling scene is one of the most difficult to watch moments in cinema history. Annie's mood swings from motherly affection to explosive rage in seconds, keeping Paul and the audience in constant tension. You never know which Annie you're going to get. She represents the dark side of fandom, obsession taken to its absolute extreme. What's truly chilling is that Annie believes she's the hero of her story. She thinks she's saving Paul, saving Misery, acting out of love. That disconnect from reality makes her unpredictable and absolutely terrifying. Kathy Bates has said that finding Annie's vulnerability was key to making her scary. She's not a monster. She's a broken person whose break from reality makes her capable of monstrous things. And here's a disturbing thought. Annie Wilkes could be real. There are no supernatural powers, no international crime syndicates. She's just a person, and that's the scariest thing of all. And there you have it, folks, the top 10 movie villains that will absolutely haunt your nightmares. From the psychological torture of Nurse Ratched to the chaotic violence of Alex DeLarge, from real-world horror with Amon to supernatural terror with Pennywise, these characters have earned their place in the Hall of Cinema's most unforgettable villains. They've scared us, fascinated us, and maybe even taught us something about the nature of evil itself. But here's the thing, I want to hear from you. Did I miss your favorite nightmare-inducing villain? Do you think someone else deserves the number 1 spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get a discussion going about what makes a truly great villain. If you enjoyed this countdown, smash that like button. And if you want more content diving deep into cinema's darkest characters and most thrilling moments, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, keep the lights on, and remember, the best villains are the ones that stay with you long after the movie ends. Thanks for watching.